one of the things that I think helps me as a lawyer, I started out in a law firm with 20 lawyers, which was mid-size. Moved to a law firm with 550 lawyers, which is not mid-size. It was very big. And I left that firm by myself to start my own deal. And I realized as I did that, and I'd counseled people to do that for years, but when I did it, I got a different perspective. It's a little bit different when you're looking at the printer and you have to print the envelope and you're trying to think. Now, when I was with that bigger firm, somebody printed that envelope for me and it came out with the address on it. And that's true. I had lunch with my wife the first day of the day I started my firm. It was just I was by myself. And she said, "What'd you do?" I said, "I had a great morning." She said, "Well, what'd you do?" I said, "I printed an envelope." I figured out how to print an envelope, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go have lunch. That's enough. That's enough for the day. So, as I like to tell my clients, I feel your pain with respect to some of that. So, you're thinking about merging or acquiring someone or affiliating in some way. Business folks call this the elevator pitch. What I'd say is if you saw me at a cocktail party, which is probably unlikely, more likely at a Little League game. If you saw me at a Little League game and you come up and you know you've got 90 seconds of my time, okay, tell me what you're doing, okay? Tell me what it is you're doing. Tell me what problem are you trying to solve, okay? So, and that's a big deal because if the problem you're trying to solve is what we should solve, right? If you have a problem that the affiliation doesn't solve, then you still have the problem. So why are you aligning or collaborating? What type of alignment serves that purpose? And I think there's a book out called, it's one of the business new books, Ask the Why. All right, so do some introspection there. Why are you doing this? And then with respect to Roman numeral 3, how do we do it? That's sort of what the lawyer does. Now remember my orientation, right? I'm a lawyer. It's like going to the barbershop. You need a haircut when you go to the barbershop, right? I'm a lawyer. I see these things. I think you need a professional with respect to number 3. You need somebody who's done it, an advisor of some way, if you're gonna affiliate and execute on certain types of transactions. Here are some reasons that I hear for folks to affiliate. You may have your own. If you have too much work, folks come to me and say, I love what I do, but I've got too much work. I don't know what to do. People are referring stuff to me. I can't do it. So you don't have to merge to handle that, right? You can just enter into a contract for help. You can hire help. You can get an employee. Or you can join an existing group that has folks who have capacity. Too little work, right? So this happens a lot with respect to some of the folks we represent. Things were going great, and all of a sudden, big system comes in, and they start doing what you do, and you're worried that you're going to lose. You're going to lose your patient base to the bigger system. That might be the can't beat them, join them bullet. This is a huge deal, okay? In this environment, businesses, not just in healthcare, businesses are always looking for efficiencies, and I can tell you the 12 clients that are no longer clients because they merged or were acquired, the efficiencies is a huge, huge deal. And usually, from my perspective, for medical practices, it was electronic health records that drove that bus. Isn't that funny? Right? It was the need for electronic health records that would cause a 12-member urology practice to not remain independent, but to go with a bigger system. Or a cardiology practice, or you can just go on down the line, internal medicine. it is unlike anything in our other areas of practice outside of healthcare. We don't see that kind of compression where you're going to have electronic health records. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be on paper anymore. I'm not a prophet in that regard. I'm telling you what's been told to you, and it is, I don't think it's even fair to say it's coming. It's here, right? You've got to have it. So when I was doing some, in the early 2000s, practices were being bought, and one of the health systems in my market in Winston-Salem, it was, we learned, had 63 different electronic health record systems. Because of the practices they had acquired had different systems, and they were allowing those systems to kind of work their way out and then migrate them over to the main system. Well, that's inefficient. That's just inefficient. Everybody in here would agree to that. It's just, to have 63 systems, you've got to build bridges for one system to talk to the other. It's just not, that money can be used to care for people rather than for the computers to talk to each other. It's just, to me, it just seems so inefficient. Negotiation with payers, that drove the bus some too, as you get bigger and you have more clout, and you have to negotiate with private payers if you do. You're not all of a sudden playing the cards you're dealt, right? You've got somebody, some clout, who can negotiate with payers to help so you don't make less money, right? So you make more money. Facility consolidation, I'll tell you a story about my own practice. After I started my own firm, I had some people join me after about a year, and we had a business practice of about 7 or 8 lawyers where all we did was business transactions. We did not go to court, okay? We did not litigate. So everything on this side of the courthouse door, that's what we did, and we were proud of it. We advertised that way, we marketed ourselves that way, we don't go to court, we just do business transactions. And then in 2013, some friends of ours with whom we had practiced earlier were litigation lawyers, and that means they go to court all the time. And we talked to them, and we merged with them, for lack of a better term. It was not a legal merger, but they folded their practice into ours, and we emerged with 12 or 13 lawyers. And we then litigate. And I had colleagues of mine who were at other firms say, gosh, that was brilliant. Now you have all this capacity, that was brilliant. How did that happen? And while I would like to have said, well, it was because I'm brilliant, it wasn't. Their lease was up. So their lease was up, and they said, I'm having lunch with one of them. He said, our lease is up. I said, why don't you come over to our place? They said, what do you mean? And so we started talking, and it wasn't really the brilliance of this synergistic law firm we were building. It was their lease was up. And so obviously we did some other things after we learned that the lease was up to learn about whether the merger would work or not. But that was, the facility consolidation. When you talk about efficiencies, I don't know how many practices or businesses we have represented here, but we could have one receptionist for everybody. Right? We don't need that. We could have one billing system for everybody, one billing department for everybody. All those things that get consolidated help with the efficiency of your practice. The synergy I talked about, it's what I call 1 + 1 = 3. That happened in my personal case. That is, we ended up getting more work than we would have gotten in the aggregate had we remained separate. So if you have somebody on the care continuum that offers something you don't, and you offer something they don't, and you marry, then sometimes you have 1 + 1 = 3. That is, had you stayed separate, you would just get your 1, they would get their 1, but by marrying, you may be a referral source to someone who may not have thought of you before, and you fill in those spots. And it's amazing in my own, again, like I said, my own personal experiences have helped me as a lawyer. I really have seen that in my own firm's growth. It was clearly a 1 + 1. It was probably 1 + 1 = 4. And I will tell you, and I've done this for years, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it that way. It actually ended up being a very pleasant surprise. You can add specialization by merger. You can see that the referral sources may be sending things to you that you can't do, and you'd like to be able to do that, and you're worried that the referral source will go to someone that's more of a one-stop shop, and they'll send things out, no longer send things to you.